He said it.
Oh, well said, David. And Kenny just, well, I thought you both did.
All right. Next question was, how did you get involved in Compton?
I just Dave Jarvis asked me to get on board, and I was all in. So once you come here and see what's happening here, you just want to be a part of it. So that's how I got involved.
Go ahead.
For me, when Compton first, and this is one of the guys that started. He doesn't like to toot his own horn, but I'll toot his horn. But for me, once I learned about Compton, I wanted to join, and I did. And I was a member for some years, and then to my detriment, I had a job move and a city move, and my membership fell off. And I was just lackadaisical about renewing it. And last year, I thought, Professional Bowhunters Society membership fell off, Compton fell off, and shame on me. So I renewed the membership, and actually this was discussed at the board meeting because they were kind enough to let me attend the board meeting this morning, and was Craig, our membership manager. It was noted that he gave a personal touch. When you renew your membership or apply for the first time and you're a member, that you get a personal note and a phone call. And I thought, wow, this is, I've been missing out on this kind of brotherhood of this traditional group, because there's a lot of groups out there that will not do that. So that should be immediately appealing to anyone who wants to join Compton, is that you get that personal touch and you get that feeling that you're part of this family, this fraternity. So I rejoined, and then when I got my first newsletter as a member, Dennis had a little note in there about that we need some help with a magazine. So at the time I was doing a consulting job in Pensacola, Florida, and I had sent Dennis an email, and he gave me his cell and said, call me when you have a chance. So I was in the parking lot of the place I was working at one day, and we're talking on the phone and talking, and what are you about? What are you about? And I threw out, why I think I could do it, because I've been writing for national magazines here and there, and help edit our state magazine, and I kind of threw out my little resume to Dennis, and then he punted it all to the board, and a few days later I get a phone call, you're the guy. So it brought me around to where I should have been a long time ago, and that's how I got to doing that.
We're happy you're here too. Thank you very much. As far as how I got involved with Compton, I was president of our state bowhunting organization in Missouri, United Bowhunting Missouri. A good friend of mine, Marvin Cochran, we were all going to the Pope and Young banquet in Omaha in 1999. And Glenn St. Charles had written that story at the time in the Traditional Bowhunter. And we'd all been talking about it for several years at that point, about that we needed a national traditional bowhunting organization. And Marv called me, and I was talking to Marv Klinke and Marv Cochran and Glenn St. Charles and those guys, and they're like, hey, we're going to all get together up here at the Pope and Young banquet and just have a little get-together. So I think it was that Saturday morning or whatever, we met in the breakfast nook, and Marv Klinke talked, and Glenn St. Charles talked a little bit, and Marv said, we've decided it's just time to get this thing going. Everybody wants to be a charter member, throw $100 in the middle of the table to get this thing rolling. There was 12 of us there, and that's kind of where Compton came from. And I worked on the steering committee a little bit, and I was self-employed, so I didn't make it to the first 6 rendezvous. And I was a measurer, and so I finally said, I don't care what's going on, I'm taking a few days off, and me and my buddy Bob Burns jumped in the car and drove to Michigan, sent our tent up. I walked into the main tent up there, and Marv Cochran looked at me and said, hey, go over and help these guys at the archives booth. We've got a lot of stuff to get measured. I said, okay. And I've been here since 2006 or 7, and I've shot 2 of the ranges. And I've shot the one range behind the practice bales up there about the last 3 years, I think. And I shot one other range with Bob that time. And that's about all the time I've ever got to go shoot here. But there's a lot of stuff going on, and so get busy doing that sort of thing. But I understand it's a great time. I hear people have a wonderful time here.
So what do you like about it?
Well, kind of what I just said. I mean, I enjoy helping and organizing and doing things, but really, I think really the satisfaction when all the positive comments we see on Facebook and people come up and say, "Man, I had a great time. Can't wait for next year." And to me, that's what I get out of the rendezvous is just everybody having a great time and the satisfaction you see in people. And other places, we'd have kids shooting days. We'd have a booth and have kids on their knees. We'd be on their knees with kids shooting bows for 2 or 3 days at a time. And when you do that, and their face lights up, and they bust a balloon or something with a little bow, and that just re-energizes everyone. It certainly does me. I know Kenny, he gets to sing every now and then, so he enjoys that, and we enjoy him singing. So if you didn't catch the campfire down there, he did a great job singing those songs. It was awesome. And this whole thing's like a big family get-together, really. I've walked through the campground, and if you're hungry, you walk through the campground about dinner time, and 14 people will feed you. I've never done that. Anything else?
Well, for me, and this is bad to say, but for me, the traditional archery part of it is, it's a personal thing when I'm hunting, but outside of that, the only reason I get involved, I shouldn't say the only reason, the main reason I get involved is for the people, because I get to meet people like David and Dennis, and I get to meet people from Oklahoma and Texas and Canada and Massachusetts and Australia, and you meet people all over the country, all over the world, and you immediately have about an hour and a half's worth of small talk to make with somebody the second you both know your traditional archers. And then on the flip side of that, you also have a pretty good idea where that person's coming from, just with their general attitude towards life and how they go about the daily business, how they handle their work, how they handle their family. Most of us all are kind of coming from the same place when it comes to that. So I have met just outstanding folks from all over the world, and I don't know where else you can do it outside of this kind of group of people. I don't know. Even you, here you got this guy walking down the street. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do an interview, and I might turn it into a career and whatever. And it's just fun to meet folks. That's me.
It's that connectivity, and it's just as old school as I am. Social media is making friends. So it's this balance here of our bow hunting heroes come to this stuff. G. Fred Asbell, Monty Browning, T.J. Conrad's the founder of Traditional Bow Hunter magazine. These people are here at Compton. So, for the folks out there that are even on the periphery of a lot of this, have heard or will hear of these guys. And so you've got it on that level, meeting your heroes and people that you look up to. But also, this afternoon there's a guy from the United Kingdom, and we're Facebook friends, and he's liked some of my stuff, and I recognized his name when he came up and introduced himself. But he, coming from the UK, you can't hunt with a bow and arrow over there. We're so blessed in this country that we can hunt every state with the bow and arrow and multiple opportunities, and he comes from a place where they do not have that privilege. Right. He has to fly to the United States to have that privilege to do what we should never ever take for granted. Right. So he actually has his first ever animal hunt booked for Texas in March, and because I've taken a few pigs here and there, he was quizzing me about hunting wild boar, wild pigs. So you go from just name recognition on Facebook to I'm teaching them something about hunting pigs and what to expect and kind of equipment and so forth, arrow weight, poundage, and broadheads, and it just helps just bring it all together. Just no matter where you come from, whether you're driving from 5 miles down the road or me from 1,000 miles away, every bit of effort is worth it when you get here.
Absolutely. Couldn't say it better.
This will go along with the last question. What is your favorite thing about Compton?
Dennis Harper.
Whatever. Well, it's the people.
It's the people.
And like we
For me,
said
it's-
down there, it is. It's a big family reunion every year. You know, and you can't walk through here, you never meet a stranger. You know, everyone is just very welcoming, and it's just a good family. It's like a family reunion, really.
If you come here, if you come to the Compton Traditional Bowhunters Rendezvous, or really mostly any traditional shooting, but I've been to a few, but I mean, if you come here and you don't have a good time, there's something wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I don't mean to say that, but it's like everybody, if you just make this much effort to go out and make friends and say hi and whatever, and you're not a complete tool to people, you will have a great time at this bow shoot. And, you'll make friends that, I mean, I've made some of the best friends in my life, you know, coming up to this rendezvous. People who I'll be friends with for the rest of my life. So, you know, it's the folks.
It's also, we come here for that, and we come here for the overall reaching goals of the organization, exposing people to this. But you know, at the same time, there's this fraternity that we know is us, and to, you know, as Kenny said, you can't walk away without making new friends. But we also have this responsibility that to grow this organization. So we're trying to attract people to our passion, but also to grow the passion for this organization. And it can start in sometimes the smallest way. As I said, I was president of Traditional Bowhunters for 9 years, and you know, it was always, you know, after, in between my 3 terms and so forth, you know, it was always this mentoring and fostering of who's next. And it can start in the smallest way. You know, my best vice president I ever had in those 3 terms was just a guy who walked up, and I was just loading targets. And you know, Chris walked up and said, "You look like a guy and you need some help." And it started a friendship that, you know, now, you know, years later, you know, we hunt together, we're best buddies, take a bullet for each other, and that all started because of something like this. And we wouldn't have, that enriching part of my life would have not happened if not for traditional archery, whether it's on the state club level or this national level that's been built here.
That was all the questions I had. Thank you for answering
All right,
them.
man.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.